they never believe me. Yeah, I would never drop the ball, I know I make it look easy. Yeah, Mayweather with the defense. I don't care what a critic gotta say, I got them picking up the pieces. That me, you really playing with your life, I'm about to come and run it all back. I'm the new era, about to snap back. You ain't fitting for it, cause you all cap like. Hold up, I shoot my shot, wait, hold up. I'm really about to run this, go up. You know it's all net when it go up. Ain't got no other plans, you don't need to understand, ayy. We on overtime, you don't need to understand, ayy. You just show them how to do it when you don't know what to say. Tell me how you plan to win if you plan to play the same. Moving fast, already gone, but you bringing me back. Try to double cross me, dog, just let me relax. Stop assuming what we doing, keep it moving, what we doing. Cause it can get big and right, cause it can get big and right, big and right, cause it can get big and right. Hey, please don't play no games with me, I promise I'm too much. Hey, I can never let up even if you had enough. Hey, this ain't for the faint of heart, we always playing rough. I had enough, it ain't luck. I needed a vision, I needed ambition, I needed a mission to beat a submission with no intermission. I see the collision, the crash in the distance, they coming off track, no. Now when they ask what's the motive, don't talk about the show them. They all about to see what I mean in the moment. I gotta keep going, I'm shaking the dice and they're keeping it rolling, they already know. Ain't got no other plans, you don't need to understand, ayy. We on overtime, you don't need to understand, ayy. You just show them how to do it when you don't know what to say. Tell me how you plan to win if you plan to play the same. Moving fast, already gone, yeah, but you bringing me back. Try to double cross me, dog, just let me relax. Stop assuming what we doing, keep it moving, what we doing. Cause it can get big and right, cause it can get big and right, big and right, cause it can get big and right.
All right. Salute. ATP, what's good? At this point, and bring it one more time. One more game, man. One more time. One more game, man. We're back at it with another installment. Boxing take. Boy, Rain. We back at it, man. We back talking this boxing. A lot to talk about today. I mean, listen, we got to squeeze it into this time period, right? We got an hour and a half to 2 hours today. I'm not really trying to be on here long. Got stuff to do today, but a lot of topics to go over and speak on today. News coming out. Ryan Garcia and Mario Barrios has officially been announced. February 21st will be the day. T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. That finally goes down. We can finally start talking about that fight in real time now that we know for sure that's locked in. That's definitely happening. Of course, you guys see the thumbnail. We got to talk about Teofimo SHAKUR, Dalton Smith, what this looks like. Dalton Smith is really shaking up the algorithm. I'll be honest with you. He's really done that in an impactful way. 140 just looks completely different now. The landscape of the conversation has completely changed as far as what we got to look forward to. And we got to put the pieces where they need to be, right? Because you got Gary Antoine Russell, who, quietly speaking, is supposed to be fighting against a mandatory in Andy Hiroka, right? And, you know, one thing about Gary Antoine Russell, if you go down the street and you talk to somebody about boxing, they're not mentioning him, right? And so you want to see him. Obviously, you guys hear us talk on here all the time about activity and how important that is, but also, you know, showing face and things of that nature, being part of this conversation. Gary Antoine is the WBA champion, and quite frankly, probably behind Dalton Smith at this point, just because we just saw Dalton Smith. He may be the legitimate dark horse of the division, right? There's argument there to say that he's that guy, athletic, pedigree, punching power, explosive, all those great things, right, that he brings to the table. Legacy, a family legacy in the Russell name with his older brother, Gary Russell, and his older brother, Gary, not Antoine, because he's Antoine, but Gary, I can't remember his middle name. They're all Gary Russells, right? But the Russells in general, right? In general. So the division, and obviously Hitchens is obviously still there. He's in the conversation, almost taking up like a little bit of a Teofimo spot, right? Just, I don't want to say cringe as much as just doing a lot of talking, but none of that talking actually manifesting into any fights in the space. And, you know, how is that affecting the big picture? Because what's Hitchens going to do at this point? The other day, shout out to my guy HLD. He brought to the attention the fact that Hitchens may in fact not even be signed to Eddie Hearns at this point. maybe advisory position Eddie Hearns is doing with Hitchens. I'm not too sure how to even process that, but ultimately there's a negotiation circulating through the space that might be happening between him and Oscar Duarte, which we know is a golden boy situation. Eddie Hearns already made it clear that he's not part of that conversation or part of that negotiation. So we got to sit back and see what Hitchens is going to do now that you got a big player right now in the 140-pound division in a Dalton Smith. How does Richardson Hitchens fit into that picture? Is he looking to fight against Dalton Smith next? You got to think that's an easy fight to put together, right? Being that Eddie Hearn is management of Dalton Smith and, you know, the relationship of Richardson Hitchens, however, with Eddie Hearns and Richardson Hitchens, however that is, it looks like it should be good enough to be able to put that fight together. Eddie Hearns already brought up that that's a possibility. But is Hitchens interested in that? Because let's be frank, ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to play games with you guys. I'm going to talk straight to you. Hitchens hasn't shown the signs of a fighter who's looking to fight the best fights that are out there, maybe the biggest money fights that are out there. But is he looking to get in the ring with some real guys who may be on some demon time, right? Is he trying to get in front of into the crosshairs of some demon time? You know what I mean? Get in front of a Gary Antoine Russell. At one point or another, get in front of a Subriel Matias, right? Getting in front of those kind of fighters. And right now at this moment, maybe getting in the crosshairs of a Dalton Smith. Is that what we see Richardson Hitchens doing? Does this force his hand to barbecue or mildew? Does he stay at 140 pounds, look to still unify, look to still do those type of things? Or does he just go ahead and use this as some motivation to move up to 147 and maybe chase down the Devin Haney's and whatever he sees as opportunity up there? I believe one thing I'll tell you right now, Hitchens is running out of places to hide if he is indeed hiding. If that's what he's trying to do, if he's still trying to strategically move in his career right now, it seems like there's becoming less and less and less places to hide, less rocks to hide under or tall grass to sit inside of. So at some point or another, Richardson Hitchens is going to have to pull the trigger, take a risk. I'm sure he's hoping it's going to be involved with a lot of money. We got to watch how that's happening as well. News in the heavyweight division, Moses Atama suffers a injury, so he will not be kicking off his opponent, kicking it off with his opponent or his event on January 24th. This is big news because the whole card right now is on freeze because of it, with a date looking to be towards the end of March. We got to see how that ends up working out and what ends up coming out of that. That leaves the date exclusively to 135-pound IBF title shot that's going to be happening between Andy Cruz and Raymond Moratala on January 24th. That was going to be a whole day of boxing, but now it'll be a great evening of boxing, right? Regardless, we'll be watching that real close because 135 has gotten a new facelift to a degree as it seemingly sees that we have a next generation of 135-pound champions that are going to be taking their positions. And hopefully this batch of 135-pound champions decide to fight each other. Maybe we can get some unifications and chase down some undisputed energy, right? Maybe we can chase down some undisputed energy if these guys can get some motivation. So shout out to Javier Herrera, who gets himself some sort of an interim WBC title, right, with a victory this past weekend. Shout out to Floyd Schofield Jr. if he might find himself in position potentially fighting for a vacant belt against a Lucas Body if Gervonta Tank Davis moves on to greener pastures at 140, as rumors are circulating that he may be trying to fight Isaac Cruz. Shout out to the new crowned probably breakout prospect to champion of last year in Abdullah Mason, the new WBO champion. Probably one of the most popular young fighters in the game right now. Everybody's anticipating to see what his next move is going to look like. And of course, shout out to the winner of Andy Cruz and Raymond Moratala when we find out who is going to be the representation of the IBF at 135 pounds. This division is becoming very interesting. And just like water goes, right, it's a wave of things happening because these things bleed into 140. What happens in 140 bleeds into 147. We'll be talking about all of that, guys, today. We'll be breaking it all down. Brian Norman Jr., great interview with Cigar Talk. We might talk about that a little bit today as well, as Brian Norman Jr. has dropped some big news on the boxing space. Shout out to Najee and Cigar Boxing Talk, as Brian Norman Jr. has announced that Brian Norman Sr. is no longer the head trainer of Brian Norman Jr. That is very interesting news, ladies and gentlemen. So Brian Norman Jr. is taking the helm and saying, listen, it's about winning. We want to get better. We want to get ourselves back into championships. We want to get our lick back against Devin Haney. And indeed, one of the biggest and hardest decisions he's ever had to make in his career in taking his father out of the head trainer position that he was in and putting him somewhere in the camp. From my understanding, Brian Norman Sr. is still there supporting his son, still there in the capacity. He's still part of the team. But as far as that position of head trainer is concerned, Brian Norman Sr. is no longer in that position. So we'll talk about that and what that means for Brian Norman Jr. Is that something that makes us more optimistic about Brian Norman Jr. as the 147-pound division is turning into something very interesting with prospects, right? Of Keyshawn Davis coming up there, Richardson Hitchens jumping up in there. Now with a potential new and improved Brian Norman Jr. that adds to the landscape at 147 pounds. We can talk about all those things and whatever else comes to mind. I will be scrolling it down at the bottom of the screen. Matter of fact, let's do it right now. You guys see the phone number right there. If you got any interesting contributions or questions or anything you want to speak about, there's the phone number. Use it. We're still working it out. I'm trying to be on point with it. Hopefully we don't go through any hiccups today and we can just, get these phone calls in and speak to the space. And if there's time later, who knows? Maybe we open the panel up, right? Get the panel going. But at this point, before we go any further into the situation, let me bring up the usual suspects. You guys know who they are, right? My co-host, Angelo Ray Davis. Ray Davis in the building. What up? What's going on? If you guys give me one moment before you jump in, let me take a moment to salute to the people who are popping up in here, speaking in the chat, man. I appreciate all you guys, man. Guys, as you're stepping in the building, you guys already know what it is. Do us a favor, as my guy Blue Blood would say, wipe your feet before you come into my house. Hit the like button, stack the like button. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, take a moment to go ahead and do that. Flexing and stepping. I just saw you over with the Boxing Voice, right? Shout out to my guy, Ness at the Boxing Voice. Had a great conversation with Brandon Adams today. I'm going to talk to you guys about that too. Bring that up about Brandon Adams, as we got to remember Brandon Adams, like number 2, number 3, number 2, like he's pretty much ranked super high, top 5 in every single sanctioning body, except for maybe the WBA. I'm not too sure how he's looking over there, but just beat last performance. We saw him dominate Serhii Bohachuk. We saw Vergil Ortiz struggle with Serhii Bohachuk, get put down twice, arguably lose that fight. Brandon Adams dominated Serhii Bohachuk, and now that Oscar De La Hoya has made it clear to the space that they're no longer pursuing or entertaining the idea of fighting Jaron Boots Ennis next, at least. We were talking, me and Angela were talking last night about Brandon Adams, and conveniently enough, look how the boxing gods work. And they bring Brandon Adams up on the Boxing Voice. I had opportunity to speak with him. That was fun. We'll talk about that. SOB TV, salute to you, my guy. Good to see you in the building, man. Shout out to the spiritual ministry. Salute to the queen. Peace to the spiritual ministry. Good to see you in the building, man. Hope everything is good with you. Mr. Big Play Bray, what up, though? My guy, Adult Choice in the building with the salams. Walaikum salam, rahmatullah barakatuh to my guy, Adult Choice, man. Was good. He was good. He was really good, man. HLD wouldn't be a show without you, man. Always good to see that purple and black insignia right there in the chat, man. D Mason in the building. Salute, salute, salute. BVO Sports TV in the building. Salute, King. And Happy New Year's to you, man. 2026 is going to be the biggest year for all of us, right? It's our best year, right? Until next year, right? It's our best year. Shout out to BVO Sports TV. He's also shouts out Angelo. Big Sacks 24 in the building. What's good with you, King? Buckmeg. What's good? What's good? What's good? What's good with you, King? All right. Who else? Top Dog 365 was goody, man. What's good? Manuel 408 in the building. What's good with you? George Gaines. Do you think Andy Cruz is ready for the top fighters at 135? We got to talk about it for sure. Is he ready? I don't know. I'm gonna be honest with you, right? I got to be honest with you. This guy has 5 to 6 professional fights under his belt, man. I've seen him get that chin cracked by Antonio Moran. I've seen him in some fights. I don't know, and I'm be honest with you, what that Bozy Ennis style translates into for Andy Cruz, man. This is going to be a very interesting litmus test, in my opinion, against Raymond Moratala. Will the weight play a point in this one too, as well as Raymond Moore-Tyler is speaking on going up to 147 as a rehydration clause whenever we're talking about IBF titles. So is he ready for the best, man? There's a part of me that wants to say yes, because you can see the skills, but has he found himself yet in professional boxing? Has he found his true identity that he can depend on? That's a whole nother conversation, right? But man, Andy Cruz is definitely one of those guys, pedigree-wise. Bachmed in the building says we are going to be better, man. That's what I'm talking about. Salute, Bachmed. Anybody else? Ryan from the six. Shout out to Ryan from the 6. Canada is in the building. What's good, Ryan? What's good with you, family? What else we got going on? Did I miss anybody here? I don't think so. And we got Boss in the building, which yeah, man. Salute to you, man. I hope that's all nice stuff going on right there. Hope there's compliments going in there, blessings, and hey, whatever you said back at you, brother. You heard? Salute to you. Whatever you said back at you, brother. Salute to you, man. And hopefully that's a good thing. Fellas, what's good, man? What's good?
I gotta tell you, man, Ray Davis isn't feeling pretty good right now. His Pittsburgh Steelers got an ass whooping last night, and his coach just stepped down. Mike Tomlin is no longer the head coach.
Yeah, we knew that was happening.
He just said, "I'm out. I'm
we
out."
knew that was happening, bro. The fans,
I don't want no more. I don't want no more.
He didn't even have to get fired. He just said,
Pittsburgh don't fire people, bro. They don't fire coaches. Here's the thing. We knew what it was, man. What you lose the fans, you got to understand it's time to get away from the game, man. I think he had many years where they told him he was on the coattails of this dude. And, he took this other guy's team to the Super Bowl, and he finally gets to a Super Bowl on his own with his own players, and they lose, and they just criticize him every time. Listen, man, he did everything he had to. He's probably one of the most winningest coaches in football, which is great. He never had a losing season, which is great. Shout out to Mike Tomlin. You know what I mean? I don't want to stay on that too long, but yeah, man, I knew it was coming. It was just a matter of time. Like I said, once you lose the fans, bro, once you lose that fan base, it's like Clay would say, Shakur, Tink, and all these boxers say, F the fans, bro. No, it's time to get away from it. No, he did it. He was in there 20 years, man. He's good. He's good.
Well, let me just say, from what I'm understanding, word is he's just going to go into commentating, which he'll be fantastic.
He'll be great.
Tomlin
will be great at commentating.
Yeah. But, Mike, Coach, I just want to let you know, if you get a little inkling, there's a nice little warm area called Las Vegas that you would absolutely love to grow your family on. It's a beautiful community here. You don't got to live anywhere near the casinos. We happen to have the #1 pick, just so that you know, and you can build an entire program. You could do another 19 years right here in Las Vegas if you'd like.
I heard the nightlife is special out there, man. That's what I'm hearing.
It can be.
You're telling me.
It can be.
Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if we land Bill Belichick, bro.
Right.
Yeah,
No doubt, man.
Yeah.
But hey, man, let's dial into this boxing, man. I don't know, man. Let's dial in, man. I mean,
a lot.
Listen, there's so much going on. There's so much going on right now. I mean, do we talk to the biggest story and work our way down to the most? Is that what
let's do it that way. Yeah, let's do it.
I mean, what's the biggest story right now? I don't know. Ryan Garcia and Mario Barrios finally gets officially announced. I don't know if that's the biggest story at all, or is it the Virgil and Jaron Boots Ennis negotiation falling to shit? Is that the big? Which one is it?
It is the biggest story, and I've been saying this for 2 or 3 weeks. I've been on other platforms. Shout out to Frequent Flyer, mainly his. Conveying this, explaining to everyone that Virgil is not the one ducking. It is Oscar. It has always been Oscar. Oscar has just found out the hard way that he has a contract, and Virgil is not taking this lightly. He's actually putting his name in the hat. Virgil, we heard Oscar trying to sue the management team. Don't be surprised if we have a Canelo Alvarez situation and Virgil sues Oscar to get out of his contract and moves on without him, because this is diabolical, bro. Very much diabolical. And that is probably the biggest story ever, because there's so many layers to peel back just to start talking about this. I just started at the end. Forget what happened, everything else. This little fake timeline that he put, this ticking time bomb. Hey, you got this much time. We're gonna work with the PBC. Like, Oscar is diabolical. he's like an 80s pimp, bro. You know what I mean? Like, he tries to use all these antics and all these weird things to talk about and convince people of all this stuff. Like, he's a trickster. And it's not working anymore, bro. We've seen this before. You know what I mean? I watched that show. And it's all going. And I think this is what boxing is like. Like, we already watched this. We're moving on from this. We don't need this guy. And I think that's why you're having situations with other channels and other platforms and things like that. I don't mean channels, promotional companies. You have Zuffa Boxing running out because these things are happening in the sport. And it's taking away the luster. We just had great things happen in the sport. And look where we're at. Listening to Oscar De La Hoya cave in the sport again and make things worse, man. Shout out to Oscar for being an asshole.
No doubt, no doubt.
I think again the landscape of how everybody needs to see it is boxing has always been a certain way. Had the business of it had always been getting done a certain way, and as it continued to do it that way, especially when we were from the 2010s to the 2019, 2020, right? Like that 10-year period, more and more of the biggest fan base, which would be the American fan base, the USA fan base, all started to kind of disappear, right? Because of the type of things that Oscar is doing. Let's put it into context, ladies and gentlemen. There was a deal already done. Everybody already spoke. The zone executives, Eric Gomez, Oscar De La Hoya, JARON, Boots, Ennis signed the agreement, right? He said, yeah, I'm down with that. 50-50, 5%. No problem. We do it next, right after Virgil fights Erickson Lubin. Eric Gomez says, yeah, I called Eddie Hearn and we told him that as soon as the Erickson Lubin fight is done, then we're going to go ahead and get into this, right? Then they actually looked at each other in the eyes in the ring and said to each other, we're going to fight each other, right? So then as a fan base, which we're the ones supporting all of this, we're the ones that they're trying to get our eyes, right? We've been supporting it this whole way for all of a sudden for it to completely disappear because of one man saying, I'm going to move the goalpost and the needle shall move. And it's really a 60-40. This is exactly how the UFC thrived because everybody, guys, was tired of why does Claymore got to get 70% and I only got to get 30%? What does that have to do with anything? Versus in the UFC, hey, Ray, do you want to fight him? Yes or no? Okay, you don't? No problem. I'm going to the next guy, right? It really should have been that, and it wasn't. So I don't want to blame Oscar all the way, because there's going to be other responsible parties to this, like Virgil's father, Virgil's advisor, his managers. At the end of the day, though, bro, I saw Terrence Crawford make a fight with Errol Spence. So, if I see a man like that, if greatness is what you want, Virgil, then let's see you move like Terrence Crawford. Oh, we can't hear you, Clay. You're on mute.
Oh, sorry about that. I did put it on mute. Listen, man, I agree with everything both you guys said, man. But sorry, Ray, I disagree a little bit as far as this not being on Virgil, man. This ends up being on Virgil at this point. At this point in the game, you're a grown man. This is your career. If you're going to allow the Oscar De La Hoyas or whoever have you, even down to your own father. I mean, shout out to Brian Norman Jr. Look at what a boss does when it comes down to being accountable for their own career. It's up to Virgil Ortiz Jr. to communicate properly to the space, not just in interviews, sidebar interviews, but also in the moves he makes inside the structure of his management that he's hired, who are supposed to be working for him to execute and help him manifest whatever he's looking to get done. So no, I'm sorry. 2026, we're not doing that. This is the year of accountability. American boxing needs the biggest fights possible for over here. And everybody needs to play their role and everybody needs to play their position. Virgil Ortiz Jr., that's what it's going to say on the bill. It's going to say Virgil Ortiz Jr. versus Jaron Boots Ennis, not Oscar De La Hoya versus Eddie Hearn, not Rick Meridian versus Eddie Hearn, not Golden Boy versus Matchroom. It's going to say those two specific names. Those are the people who are going to be fighting in the ring And at this point now, we got to pass some accountability over to the young bull. We see a lot in you. The eye test says you're one of those guys. You're ranked #1 right now, so you're recognized by Ring Magazine for what you've done so far at 154. But this fight right here, after that face-off we saw last year, this fell on the shoulders of the fighters to do what they had to do. And we got to say, Jaron Boots Ennis did what he had to do. He made his way over into San Antonio, Texas. He went inside of that ring. He said right to your face that he wanted that fight next. You asked him for a yes. He gave you a yes. There was a negotiation that happened in the background. You didn't sign that day. Why didn't you sign? Right? He signed it. What were you hesitant on? I don't care about the counsel you're getting from the people, from Oscar De La Hoya and those people. They're there to give you advice, and you are there to metabolize and let them know what you want to do on the back end of hearing all of the advice they have to offer you. If you want us to treat you like a boss, you want us to treat you like a man, you want us to respect you, then this accountability part of the conversation where it lands to this fight not happening is more on your shoulders than anybody else in your team. Because at a minimum, even if Oscar De La Hoya was putting his heavy iron steel foot down and getting in the way of this, then we expect you to make the proper moves you need to do to get from underneath his heel, because you shouldn't be under the heel of anybody. You should be pursuing your own entire career. And on top of that, how does it feel to be on a team where nobody on your team seems to support or believe that you can accomplish this? Because clearly there's some hesitation here from your team because of the idea that they're hedging their losses. They don't believe you can do what Eddie Hearn believes Jaron Boots Ennis can do, clearly, right? And that's what the consensus is. That's what it's going to be. You're talking about options next, and that's going to be what we're going to stand by and watch, because Sebastian Fundora has a fight that he's putting together with Keith Thurman. That has him tied up until the end of March is when that's supposed to roll out, which means after that fight, he's probably not going to be back in the game until about late summer, right? August, depending on how crazy that fight is with him and Keith Thurman. We saw the fight he had with Tim Tszyu put him out the game for damn near a year because of a broken nose, right? Keith Thurman's coming in with bad intentions from what I hear. He's going back to one time with the ponytail. That's what he says, right? So this fight is probably going to be a bloodbath. And you got Errol Spence sitting on the beach, playing with sand in between his toes, drinking margaritas, eating vegan, living his best life. Looks like a Rastafarian on the beaches of Jamaica. You know what I'm saying? Getting into the good life. I don't see one iota of movement coming from Errol Spence that makes me think he's coming back to boxing anytime soon. So I don't know what you guys are operating on. I hear Oscar talking about relationships with the PBC, and now you guys are going to be unifying and making the big fights. Is the PBC telling you guys that Errol is coming back? We've been hearing Errol is coming back for the past year and a half, 2 years, right? I mean, honestly, since the last 2.5 years, because we thought he activated that rematch with Terrence Crawford, never followed through with that, never followed through with the fight he said he was going to make with Sebastian Fundora. And this is not shot at Errol Spence, but how in the world do you want us to believe that that's a fight that's going to happen? And where do you get it in your mind that we want that fight? Why do you think that's going to be such a big fight and that's a fight we're looking forward to see as boxing fans? No, it's delusional. It's completely ducking the opportunity. You clearly are showing no interest in the fight as far as your team is concerned. And Vergil Ortiz Jr., at a minimum, you seem to be 100% complicit to the whole entire situation. Even if you do want the fight, you're not fighting hard enough for it, period.
So you didn't hear the last message that Vergil replied to Vergil, to Oscar, telling the world that we are not done. We're still in negotiations, and telling Oscar himself that he's going to get into this because under contract, they're allowed to be part of the negotiations as Oscar's keeping them out of it. And that's what the whole thing about Oscar talking about suing his manager is about, because Vergil's team is telling him that they're supposed to be involved in this fight. And Oscar's trying to take the helm and throw all this stuff out there. Apparently, Vergil already accepted the 50%, but Oscar's not willing to accept it. So Oscar's getting in the way. He keeps creating these roadblocks. Another thing I would like to mention is that we have to understand the difference between a promoter and a promotional company. Promotional companies are people you sign to represent you. Regardless of management and things of that nature, they represent you as a whole. They put up the money. The promoter also has some ties to that, but the promoter, like a manager, works for you. The promoter is probably someone else, probably a Robert Garcia or his dad, maybe his promoter. But Oscar De La Hoya is a promotional company, and whatever they deal with and however they work behind the scenes is how they work behind the scenes. Obviously, we see what it really is. But I mean, I lay my plane on that. But yeah, he definitely said that.
No, I heard about that.
I didn't see it. Was it on Twitter or something?
No, that's what I'm saying. I haven't seen anything like legitimately like for sure, but that's what needs to happen, right? But what I'm hearing is that there are issues going on, specifically from Rick is it Meridian? Rick Meridian?
Yeah, Rick Meridian.
Right. Rick Meridian, whatever his name is. I'm hearing that there is somewhat of an issue that's happened, the lack of transparency on the state of the negotiations, and that I didn't hear that he accepted the 50%. I didn't hear that part, but I did hear that there was issues and that they were being pretty much held in the dark about what was going on at the table. And I'm wondering if that is the case, if it's really getting that deep, does this fall underneath the Ali Act that Oscar's been, defending and being advocate of? Is this not part of the Ali Act, the transparencies of the negotiations of a fight and things of that nature? I don't know, right? One thing about when you see Oscar De La Hoya on these things that annoys me, I'll be honest with you at this point, frustrates me, is the fact that he's living so luxurious, and he tries to paint this picture like, we give the fighters a lion's share of this, and it's all about the fighters, and we put the fighters first. But he's had so many fighters go against the grain. You can't hold on to Ryan Garcia. Canelo Alvarez doesn't look like he'd be in the same room with you without good security in the room. And here you are taking Virgil Ortiz Jr. right through it. You did the same thing with Floyd Schofield when it came to the Shakur Stevenson fight. You did the same thing with Ryan Garcia when it came to the Tank fight. And you held William Zepeda at a standstill for a long time until Shakur had to be like, damn, bro, what's going on, to make that fight happen. So Oscar's just, the reputation and the brand is tainted at this point. He's becoming very creepy, very greedy. And right now, on his last year with DAZN, where they're supposed to be renegotiating a deal, doesn't seem like he's moving his pieces the right way. I don't know how you guys feel about it.
Yeah, no, it's interesting to me because one of the reasons why even Dana White, who will publicly, just recently, even on the Stephen A. Smith show, everybody knows he doesn't like Oscar, and a lot of people don't rub him the wrong way when it comes to Oscar's antics. But even Dana himself, dude, says, but you can't take away the fact that this is one of the best fighters we've ever seen, right? Because what did Oscar do during his career? He fought everybody. 100%. He didn't duck it. He fought Pernell Whitaker. He fought Felix Trinidad, right? He fought Fernando Vargas when everybody thought he was going to lose to Fernando Vargas. And this is why it's so trippy, is Oscar, you know how important it is for a fighter like Virgil Ortiz to have his Felix Trinidad, Oscar De La Hoya moment, to have his Fernando Vargas versus Oscar De La Hoya moment, to have his Pernell Whitaker versus Oscar De La Hoya moment. And you're taking it away from him, man. And we don't really know why. And all we can do is speculate, right? So, we're just asking, why do this? Why do this to a young 27-year-old kid who is already, without ever winning a belt, Ring Magazine and the way the rankings work, has him as the number one guy at 154. This is a non-champion, right? So 100%. If the people are saying he's number one, all we're asking for as the fan base is show us that. Because the number 6 guy who just came into the division named JARON ENNIS seems like everyone's so scared of him that his promoter already has to line up contracts before the fight even starts. As an example, Josh Kelly versus Bakram Murdazayev happening at the end of this month, right? There is already a contract in place that if Josh Kelly wins, his next fight is with JARON ENNIS. Now, again, it makes it easy, Clay, because Josh Kelly's under Eddie Hearn, so it's easy to negotiate that, right?
Well, let me put you on to something else that might add some perspective to what's going on here, because like I said, I spoke to Brandon Adams today, right? Spoke to him for about 30 minutes, man, right? And very interesting on the part he plays in this and how interesting this story gets now. Because right now he's lined up to fight a fighter for an IBF eliminator, which he's going to be exercising as an opportunity to put himself as a mandatory to the winner between Bakram Murdazayev and Josh Kelly. Now, we spoke to him directly. Me and Ness asked him directly, step aside money may be in your future. They're getting ready to probably offer you some money, because I'm sure the JARON ENNIS is the bigger fight. Whichever winner is involved in that's probably going to want that fight. So you're going to get offered step aside money. So are you going to play your position? Are you willing to accept that step aside money and get with the clause in there, obviously that you get the winner automatically and get yourself some money, maybe a quick little 200, 300,000, whatever, 150, 200,000 step aside money. Are you willing to do it? Guess what? Do you want to take a guess as to what Brandon Adams said?
No, he probably would say no because he's old. So
100%. He said, I'm 36 years old, guys. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not stepping aside for nobody, bro. It's my time. Right. He said, I'm 36 years old. I ain't got the time to play around with these guys, man. I'm not stepping aside. So, the whole entire landscape of things are getting very complicated. And where there was an opportunity to do something great for boxing, the question has a simple answer: greed in politics.
Right.
That's why this fight's not happening.
And when you say greed in politics, that's what's taken the fan base away. This is how Jake Paul got in the door. Jake Paul got in the door in a short amount of time. What is it? Since the time he started boxing to now, total time, let's call it 7 years. So it only took 7 years for Jake Paul to have his own company, have women's boxing be one of his main things, have under his promotions fighters like Jamal Harvey and Maserati, the heavyweight guy, has an MVP promotions with Nikisa Badarian, right? He got in the door because of this very greed in politics you're talking about. And now an entire network called CBS Paramount Plus, they're now in the door for giving dates. They're not even giving you fighters. They're just saying, hey, January 23rd, there's going to be this fight on Zuffa Boxing. January 30th, there's going to be this fight on Zuffa Boxing. February 14th, it came out yesterday. I've been telling you about this for a bit, Clay, but what did I tell you, man? Zuffa moves different, bro. F.A. Ajagba, he's ranked number 8 in the heavyweight division. How the hell did Zuffa sign him? Why did Top Rank let him go? Heavyweight boxing is what moves the sport. Why do you think Frank Warren has almost all of them? It moves the divisions. It moves boxing. And you let a heavyweight go? Oh, bro, something's going on. Because I still don't even know what television network I'm going to watch Xander Zayas versus Abaz Baru in. I still don't know, bro. So something's going on. And Blaze, just so that you know, the source of that is Eddie Hearn. You could watch his interview from Saturday night. He said there's already a contract in place if Josh Kelly were to win. And my response to the Brandon Adams thing is, Brandon, we're hoping that you get on the show at some point. I will have to say that I believe by IBF rule, after this title fight, whoever the champion is gets a mandatory or gets a voluntary first. So no matter what, Boots is going to get the fight anyways, because it's the voluntary, and then you'll get a chance to fight the winner of that, which is better money for you, honestly.
Right, 100%, because if Boots wins that, that's a lot more money in the middle of that. And I thought it was interesting also when it comes to Brandon Adams that you would have thought that Vergil Ortiz's team would have reached out to him, right? And from Brandon Adams' point of view, he said, listen, man, to tell you the truth, that he spoke on a negotiation that was actively happening between him and Vergil Ortiz's team before the Bohachuk fight. And he believes that the performance he put on with Sergey Bohachuk has probably dissuaded them from pursuing that fight, because he's ranked high across the board. He's the fight to be made. I mean, legitimately, he's tied up right now in this IBF eliminator. But if he wasn't, I think he would have been a legitimate fight for Jaron Boots Ennis, for Vergil Ortiz. He'd have been a fight that would have made sense to be in there. But that being said, it's going to be interesting to see what Vergil does at this point, right? Because even if there is a negotiation going on to get the winner of Sebastian Verdor and Keith Thurman, aren't you going to want to get a stay busy fight? Are you going to wait until August, late July, before you can get active again and fight again? Is that the kind of fighter you're going to become, fighting once to twice a year? Or do you want to stay busy? Eddie Hearn's already made it clear that he plans on staying busy. He wants Boots to fight at the end of March. So we'll see what opponent he picks. Me and Angelo had a great argument last night trying to figure out who he's going to fight against. I hope it's not what Angelo thinks it is, but it may end up being that. And that being said, also, the accountability in this situation does seem to clearly fall on one side of the conversation. I mean, Jaron Boots Ennis, I know the space will argue, could have taken the short, right? He could have taken the 40% just in the spirit of making the fight, just so he can get that signature fight. And I was on board with that. I said that a few days ago. Take it. Take the 40%. Take the 5% addition when you beat Vergil Ortiz, and get that on your resume. Become the best fighter on Ring Magazine, #1 fighter in the division, and at that point, chase down all the titles. At that point, because you'd be an interim WBC. I mean, there's just so many different aspects of that made sense. I would put him in the right position, but at the same time, Angelo was fighting hard for boots and saying, why should he concede to the bully? Why should he allow the bully to move the needle, to be the guy who gets to dictate the terms when he doesn't necessarily believe he's accomplished the same things as him? I mean, I am a lineal, unified 147-pound champion. I come in decorated. You've never been a champion of shit before. Yeah, you've been active in the division, but you were in a fight with Sergey Bochuk that a lot of people thought you lost. You were in a very competitive fight with Israel Madjimov, and you knocked out Erickson Lubin, who one could argue stayed in the division too long, right? Just didn't rehydrate probably in the proper way, and probably shouldn't have stayed in the division. But I mean, we're going to give you all those victories. It's all good, but what have you done so special that separates you, that gives you that separation from Jaron Boots Ennis, who's already filled up his hometown arena multiple times, has a huge fan base that's just waiting for him to do something special so he can be in the conversation of face of boxing? What have you done so special that I should allow you to even carry yourself as an A side, quote unquote, to this, where you're getting 60% and I'm getting 45% of the purse? Is it okay for Jaron Boots Ennis to defend his principles in this situation and stand tall on what he believes and what him and Eddie Hearn believes is the right thing to do? What do you guys think about that?
I totally agree with you on that. I just want to circle back and dead ass on what you just said, Clay. Here's the problem. Boots, I thought Boots should have took the deal too, and I'm also understanding where Angel's coming from because I actually started moving the needle myself. I said, you know what? Obviously, the manager, and this is all the stuff I'm gathering, right? In the sources that I have. The management team is talking to Eddie Hearn. These guys are talking to Eddie behind Oscar's back. Why? Because they want to fight. They're willing to take this deal at 50-50, but they're waiting for the promotional company to sign off on it. That's how I said. Don't be surprised if we get a Canelo situation where he sues himself out of the contract to go fight over at DAZN or Matchroom, whatever the case may be, or becomes his own free agent and doesn't deal with Oscar anymore. Because it seems like Oscar's really holding the card here, and he's trying to play it to where he's violating. One of them are violating the Muhammad Ali Act, and I always thought it was the fighter that actually made the decisions. But these promotional companies have found a loophole. And this loophole is giving Oscar, Al Heyman, Bob Arum, all these, Don King, all these accolades to control the boxers. And that's where the problem is lying. So we're starting to see this play out in front of us. Hence why Zuffa Boxing, okay, my advertisement point, is going to probably change the game, and why all the things you said about why Dana feels like, let's respect what Oscar said, but this is why boxing is falling apart, because these guys are too busy protecting fighters for the big fights, from the big fights to go big money. And that's not what the fans want. The fans are losing out, and the fans are getting disinterested, and it's creating we're going backwards, not forward. After all this stuff we just came through, all this turmoil that Turkey got us through, and this guy has the nerve to say, we're bringing it back to America. Me and Al just made up. Come on, man.
My bad, lost a little control there.
Yeah, I was like,
hey man, I'm pushing buttons. I'm pushing buttons and switching and whatnot.
You're playing with it,
trying to circulate it properly. But we're back on point, man. Let's not let the flow get damaged, though. So Rez, man, go ahead, man. This was really your point of the conversation last night, was because I was on the side of, you know what?
I know.
I'm not gonna continue defending Boots anymore. You know what I mean? At this point, because at the end of the day, and listen, man, I've definitely resonated and I empathize with Angelo's position, and I'm choosing to be on this side of the conversation at this point, but still holding on to the fact that at the end of the day, how bad do you want it? There is a way for it to have happened, or still may happen. Who knows? We don't know until it's all said and done. But listen, if principle is what you want to stand on, you have every right to stand on that principle. And maybe that's even the right thing to do, as far as not allowing Oscar De La Hoya to get away with this. But at the end of the day, a fight needs to happen. The signature fight, the space was very critical of the Usman Lima fight.
Right.
And really put the pressure for that signature fight to happen in 2026. Even I sat there and said, look out for him to do it and make it happen in 2026. So that being taken into consideration. But go ahead, Reyes.
Yeah, no, my entire point is I understand how the space will sit there and try to cut a man like Boots Ennis down. But the fact of the matter is, if you look at his entire career, this was a guy who was dominating at such a young age that the Showtime deal that he had actually held back his popularity, because there were fights that he wanted that wasn't getting made. Hence, again, this whole problem with the boxing politics, right? Now, in the last 2.5 years, over 2 years, Turki Al-Sheikh comes into the space. He infuses it with so many options. There's so many options for every boxer that now what did we just see happen last year? Boots Ennis becomes the unified champion, beating the undefeated WBA champion in Emmanuel Stanionis, while defending his IBF again, while also getting the Ring Magazine welterweight title, which is one of the most rare things to have. The Ring Magazine welterweight title. It's one of the most rare things to have, right? So let's look at it from a resume standpoint. Boots Ennis has more knockouts. He has more wins. He's got he's already unified at 147 pounds. He's already become the Ring Magazine champion at 147 pounds. So rightfully so, he fights Lima, who was the IBO champ. And I get it, guys. You look at the IBO like it's the Mountain West Championship for college football. I understand. At the end of the day, though, he beats another champion, not a drained Erickson Lubin. He beats another champion to make his statement at 154 and does it in exciting fashion. So at this point, as a fan, it's easy to look at it and go, well, wait a minute. The guy that's been selling out the stadiums, the guy who's already been in a Ring Magazine champion, the guy who's already unified in 147, and the guy that just moved up, shouldn't that guy be like the 70% guy, the 60% guy? What's the deal with Virgil Ortiz? Why is he so popular? And that's what I was saying is let's really investigate that part, right? Oscar, you're asking for 60%. Why? Virgil Ortiz has never won a 147-pound title. And try to, by the way, Chad, try to name me who was his best opponent at 147. Because he was supposed to fight Tim Tszyu, which never happens because of whatever the reason is. And I never want to speculate.
He was supposed to fight Stanionis too,
and it never happened, right? So he never does that. And then what? We're standing on the back of, well, Angelo, he's had these great 154 fights. How are they great? I'll give you the credit that you won, but great? Your Erickson Lubin fight? I don't know about that's greatness, right? Fighting Madrimov, who was sick. I don't know if that's greatness. And by the way, Madrimov was already beaten by Terrence Crawford. So you beat a guy who already got beat, right? And that was over a year. That's almost a year ago now, right? And Boachuk, a lot of us thought you lost, bro. A lot of us thought you lost. So explain to me why, when the great Jaron Boots Ennis graces you with his time, graces you with his popularity and says to you, hey, no problem, man. In fact, let me even sign that, DAZN. 50-50 with a 5% to the winner. No problem. Nah, bro, I'm defending Boots to the wall and to the hilt, bro, all the way. Because F that. That's the problem with boxing. That right there.
I agree.
Shut your mouth, say thank you, and go beat up on Boots if you really think you can take him. Otherwise, guess what's going to happen? The needle moves. Xander Zayas. How is Xander Zayas, ladies and gentlemen, one of our youngest champions? How is he already unifying a belt at 154 on his second fight?
Another fight that you turned down. Another fight that didn't happen. You know what I'm saying?
How is that already happening? So we have Xander Abaz unifying. We have Bakram and Josh Kelly, an Olympian. He doesn't even have as many fights as you do. Virgil, how is Josh Kelly already getting a title shot against the boogeyman? Bakram Murtalazayev.
Another fight you turned down because of a rehydration clause. That your father said that you turned down. Another opportunity to become a champion that you didn't take. One second. The Libra 926. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you, man. Salute, man, for my Zoe in the building. Says something light to, for the great brother, man, Nula, which in Creole means we're here. Keep going. No doubt, man. I appreciate you, man. Thank you, man. And one more thing before we go a little bit more further. Shout out to HLD who says way too much glazing for Boots, who did turn down Ortiz twice. But listen, here's where I'm at with it, just to add to what you're saying, Reyes, right? Fine. I think the big point is 50-50 is fair. Because, of course, we can go down into Boots' resume and we can audit it and we can find some reasons that maybe he doesn't need to be the 60-40. But at the end of the day, both of these guys need a big fight. They're ready and they're primed for it. There should have been a 50-50 split, 5% to the winner. Whoever wins walks away with 55. The loser walks away with 45%. And let that not only be the fair negotiation, but be the litmus test and be the catalyst that moves whoever wins that fight to the biggest paydays that lie ahead of them. That's all it means, right? So more so, what I think I see Reyes doing is humbling the Ortiz side of the conversation, right? Not trying to make Jaron Boots Ennis like the end all be all. Just be like, hey, bro, what have you done so special that this fight isn't happening and because you deserve 60%? What have you done that's special that should make that happen, right? That's what I think I'm hearing.
Yeah, that's exactly, again, my point is you boxing has allowed Turkey to come in, has allowed Jake Paul to come in, has now Zuffa's now coming in, right? This is all happening basically because of this crap. No, bro, we would fight, but I'm the 60 and you're the 40. What does it matter? What does it matter?
But what evidence do we have that Virgil has pushed this contract, not just Oscar? Because we're seeing the back end of this, and we're seeing the fighters arguing with the promoter at this point. We're seeing a whole nother side over. They're fighting on that side, plus they're fighting Boots' side, right? Because they want the fight to happen. So we have to really dial down before we start throwing the allegations. Yes, it looks pretty in the picture, right? Hold on. It looks pretty to say, okay, Virgil, this is you. Virgil should take control of this. I totally agree with that, right? But at what point do we know what creative control that he have on making this fight happen besides him saying he wants to fight? We have to be respectful. Hold on 1 second, right? We have to be respectful to when Boots said, if you didn't hear it from me, right, I didn't say it. We haven't heard shit from Virgil, but a little back comment that somebody found and said that Virgil said that, he still wants this fight. No, it
wasn't a bad comment. No. Virgil had a whole entire interview, bro,
right,
when he spoke very specifically about how much he wanted this fight. But I'm going to be honest with you, Ray, right? We don't know all those things you're talking about, but it's his team, and he's represented by his team, and we have to judge the team, bro. It's not just Oscar. It's a whole entire machine. The same way we held Boots accountable for what Eddie Hearn said, right? Yep. We're going to hold him accountable, and it's up to him to change the direction of this narrative by opening up his mouth, by making the right moves, and we can come right back here and be like, there you go, Virgil. That's how you fucking do it. But until he does that, we're here to light a fire under his ass and let him know that we're looking at you weird right now, my guy. Right. And we want to see what you're going to do to change it.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, no. And here's the other thing, too. I'll respond to why am I being so hard on him, Ray? Because he's a grown-ass man. And Virgil, and Virgil, you're a grown-ass man. Boots Ennis is a grown-ass man. Well, when they did the DAZN talk in that room with the DAZN executives, Oscar De La Hoya, Eric Gomez, Eddie Hearn, an agreement was made, and guess who signed it? Boots Ennis signed it. How come you didn't sign it, Virgil? And even if you didn't sign it on that day, why didn't you just sign it right after the Erickson Lubin fight? Like, on your locker room, go sign the agreement, right? What is this crap, Ray? What is this crap? Are we doing this now? Are we doing this, Ray? Where, I thought Pittsburgh was going to win. But since the Texans win, no, bro, we can't play them. Denver, no, we can't play the Texans, because we were expecting to play Pittsburgh. But since Pittsburgh won, we need 80% in order for us to play a divisional game. The NFL doesn't do this bull crap, Ray, and you know that. No, bro.
I understand, Angelo. I totally understand. I'm not even taking anything away from what you're saying. What I'm asking is there's so many things that are not being revealed to us, right? We have to understand that this is all business. We see who the front man is. I get the fact that Oscar is out there just leading his white horse with his carriage and all this other shit that he's doing, and he's just ranting about, right? But then we have to understand that there's also a fighter side of it, right? We blamed Eddie Hearn for the Boots fight not happening. Well, not us, but a lot of people in the space were blaming Eddie Hearn. Why the Boots fight didn't happen? Why is Boots ducking Virgil? Blah, 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 blah. We've heard this multiple times. Yes, some people held him accountable. Some people pushed the blame on Eddie and said it wasn't Boots. And then when Boots actually made a statement, which took almost forever, we got clarity. And people still held Boots accountable, just like they held Brian Norman accountable with his dad in his situation when it was the Boots' turn. So all that you said about Virgil and the weight situation and all that, we all understand that. Virgil has pushed himself to out of fights because of weight limits and being sick and whatever the case may be. What big fights as he has? You're absolutely right. Remember, he only had 3 fights at 154. All his other fights were over 154. So they were all catchweight fights, basically borderline 160. So I don't give Virgil the inkling of what he should or what he could do. What I'm just saying, I'm just respecting the fighter saying that he wants to fight and him telling the world that he wants to fight. His dad is back playing. I think his dad did a little commentary thing. Robert Garcia talking about he wants to fight. Everybody on one side is saying that he wants to fight, that he's close with, but his promoter who manages or promotes multiple fighters is the only one. Not only time that Oscar has done this, right? He's done it multiple times with multiple fighters, as pushing his fighter away from him. So we don't need to fight right now. No, Ryan Tank's too good. We don't want to fight Ryan. All this stuff that's being said, we're starting to notice that it's a trend. It's a trend with Oscar. Oscar wants to protect his fighters. He wants to have his guys undefeated. He wants to have that name. He wants to keep that in his back pocket. Why? Yeah, I had the best Mexican fighter of all time. Look, I'm a great promoter. I like he does this shit to only create his own self needs and gratitude. He doesn't give a shit about Virgil. He doesn't give a shit about Ryan. You see all these fighters are moving away from him because he does this shit. He does this. This is him. And I get it. Like I said, Virgil does need to step up and get on his own platform and correct it at the end of the day. But I still think that that our mindset is we have to focus on all the pieces of the puzzle and having that puzzle.
But Ray, they all are being focused on, bro. We're talking about Oscar. We're talking about Virgil. We're talking about everybody, bro. Everybody's getting their fair share of this, bro. But Virgil doesn't escape this. I'm sorry. He doesn't get out of this. This is on him. It's his career. Oscar De La Hoya has made his position very clear. Are you willing to do the same thing? When Floyd Schofield wanted to fight Shakur Stevenson, Oscar De La Hoya spoke against it. Didn't think Floyd Schofield was available. But Senior, to his credit, right, told Oscar, put the fight on. We want the fight. Don't worry about that. And Oscar did what? He let them go ahead and make the fight happen. He expressed his indifference with the decision, but he got out the way. When Gervonta Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia was in negotiation, De La Hoya made his position very clear. But what did Ryan do? He let it be known, no, sir. That's the next fight for me. Make it happen. Do your fucking job. And that's what Virgil needs to step up right now and do for himself. And without this type of accountability that we're giving him right here, we're letting him get off for free, because a lot of people would love to just escape with the idea of, guys, you already know I wanted to make the fight. It was Oscar. And we sitting here talking about somebody who's not going to get in the ring. Nah, Virgil is on you. If you care that much about what we're saying, change the narrative, get involved with this one, put your best foot forward, because Al Heyman tried to do it to Errol, and Errol jumped in the way and said, fuck out of here, bro.
I agree.
We're going to do 50-50. I want that fight next. David Benavidez was supposed to fight Jesse Hart. You know what he said? Fuck out of here. He screamed out to David Morrell's team. He made that damn fight happen. They tried to line him up and give him a trash-ass Caleb Smith fight that with no money behind it. He said, thanks for trying. Thank you for the support. Thanks for helping me get here, Samson. Thanks for helping me get here, Alba. Where was he? On Riyadh, fighting Anthony Yardy, bro. He took his career into his own hand. And Virgil Ortiz has one of those careers. He has one of those special opportunities to be part of history and potentially have the biggest fight that boxing can put together right now get done, outside of potentially a Shakur Stevenson and Gervonta Tank Davis fight, right? This is the biggest fight that could be made. So he can allow this to pass by and allow himself to be in the ring with some rinky-dink top 10 fighter who nobody cares about, or he can stay inactive and wait for the winner of Sebastian Fedora, Keith Thurman in the middle of the damn summer, or you can get in front of his moment. And this is your moment. Time waits for no man. Boxing is all about timing. It's a window of opportunity to capitalize. Sometimes you get one shot at being great. Sometimes. And this might be the one move that you might look back on your career in hindsight and say, fuck, I would have done that different. No, bro. Do it now. You don't got to look back at it. Get in front of this situation right now. Make it stink. Stir up some shit and get it popping and show the space that this fight is the most important fight for you, your priority, and the next fight that you want to see happen. Otherwise, it is what it is. You're complicit. You're part of it. Because I can tell you right now, we all can make arguments as to why this is an easier route for you to not get in the ring with Jon Boots Ennis.
I agree.
I can tell you right now, we get the fear if there is fear. We get the concern if there is concern. We get it if there is concern. Don't get it twisted. So let that story roll out and be the narrative if you want, or jump in front of it and make it happen.
I agree. Listen, I'm not taking none of that away. I'm not even doing a but, right? I'm just or rebuttal to anything. I was just being open to what really is not being seen in the media, because, you know, somebody got to play devil's advocate today. Usually it's Angelo and it's me today. So I have to.
Hey, shout out to everybody in the building. Hit the like button. Smash the like button if you haven't done it. I haven't checked on it yet. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, you see how we carrying it here, bro. We keeping it 100, man. We speaking to the facts and giving you that true perspective. So support the channel in any way that you can. A like, a super chat, and definitely subscribe helps it. Guys, I do want to move on to other topics as well. Have we landed our plane as to where we are at this point?
Yeah, can you let Ray finish? I'm just going to add one last thing. Go ahead, Ray.
So no, I was going to say, like, with all that being said, I have no situation to argue the point. I mean, this guy was the one who put the duck on Twitter with Jaron Boots' head on it, right? So yes, he does have what's coming to him. I'm not against anything you guys are saying. What I am saying is the fear in his eyes when he seen how big he was in front of him, right? He had the Loma moment. This is not a junior middleweight. This is a heavyweight, right? This is his eyes speaking to us. So yeah, there was some probably understanding of what he got himself into, but at that same time, I think to be fair, right? Because Clay was like, you got to be fair to Boots at that point when Boots was being criticized. He's like, yo, Boots needs to make this fight happen. But to be fair, you know, at the same time, he does have to make this fight happen. And in all instances, he has to he hasn't spoken yet. And I think it's time for him to step up and speak. That's all I'm saying. I think he needs to get out in front of this because it's starting to spiral downhill. That's all.
No, and I'll land it on this, Clay. Here's the 2 points. Okay. Number one, Virgil, if your summer fight is not against the winner of Sebastian Fundora versus Keith Thurman, bro, you have become the biggest hype job we've seen recently. You are not that good. Okay, that's number one. Number two, I am not going to blame Boots Ennis, who was promised a fight in February, because he already fought in October. It's already getting too long. He needs activity. I'm not going to get mad at Boots Ennis at all on whoever he fights next. Rashidi Ellis, whoever. But I'll tell you who I think it's going to be, and I suggest you do this too, Virgil. The number one WBA 154-pound fighter is a Russian kid by the name of Sulin. So he's technically number one ranked. That's probably who Boots Ennis is going to fight next. Now, I'm already going to say to you what's going to be told to me, Clay. Oh, here we go. Another Lima for Boots. First of all, it's not his fault. He was promised a fight in February against Vergil Ortiz. Vergil Ortiz is clearly ducking. Okay? That's number one. So why am I blaming someone like Boots Ennis for fighting his number one mandatory? So I suggest to you, Vergil Ortiz, number one, you do have to fight the winner of Sebastian Fundora versus Thurman, but that won't happen until the summer. So the fight you're supposed to fight in February, because you need someone to fight, is your number one, which is a 5'11" Frenchman by the name of Bakary Samake. 19 wins, undefeated, 11 knockouts. Fight him. Fight him, and then maybe we'll give you a little forgiveness after you fight Sebastian Fundora. But anything less than those two, bro, if you fight some other weak journeyman, or something like that, of some sort, somebody who hasn't fought in a ring, like, don't give me Errol Spence. I don't want to hear it. Nah, we're holding you accountable. We're holding you accountable.
Respect.
Clay, you're on mute. You're on mute, Clay.
That's a fact. Your next move has to be your best move, and it's hard to even see what a best move is, because the best move would have been boots. But I'm telling you right now, man, this is 2026, man. Accountability is going to be the top of the conversation, but we're no longer letting you dudes slide with the nonsense. We're not allowing you guys to blame promoters and blame your man. F all of that, bro. F all of that, bro. If you want it, go get it. It's right there. The whole world saw it. It was one of the moments of 2025. It was in the conversation as, quite frankly, the top moment behind maybe a Terrence Crawford beating Canelo Alvarez to see that face off. This fight has all the hype behind it, and your team has completely drained all the life out of this situation, and that's a damn tragedy. It's pathetic, to be honest with you, and you can't help but question how much skin you got in the game as far as wanting to make this fight happen. I don't give a damn. We ain't going to sit here and play that game. You guys know I don't know shit. I don't know you. Get out my face, bro. Make the fight happen, or you're going to look like Frito-Lay's chips in front of everybody, bro. We're looking at Frito chili flavored corn chips, bro. Straight up, bro. We don't want to hear nothing no more at this point, man. Make it happen, or just be that guy. Right? Be that guy. Salute to everybody in the building. Hit the like button, man. Let's get the likes up to match how many people in the building. I think we got a little over 50 people in the building. And also subscribe to the channel. I want to go ahead and move the needle, guys. I want to dial into this Dalton Smith situation. Shook up the whole entire actually, you know what? Let's talk about this Brian Norman situation real quick, because just segueing into an example of somebody who's taking their career seriously and making the hard decisions. As Brian Norman Jr. just did a great interview with Najee from Cigar Talk. Shout out from Najee. And he's communicated that his father's no longer operating in the space of head trainer for him anymore. Guys, right after the fight he had with Devin Haney, we all spoke about how Brian Norman Sr. seemed to be a little distracted, doing a lot of social media, a lot of conversating. We all questioned, was he focused on the prize? Was he getting his son ready for the toughest fight, the highest pedigree fighter he ever got in front of? And, there's an argument there to say that there was a masterclass put on Brian Norman Jr., and everybody questioned, what was Senior working on? People remember moments flashing to when Brian Norman Sr. Was cornering Brian Norman Jr., and most people were in disagreement with some of the instructions that was being given. Seemed like Brian Norman Sr. was very emotionally invested into the fight, emotionally invested to challenging all people who had thoughts on him and Jaron Boots Ennis, or him and Bill Haney, or him and anybody else. And ultimately, we all question as to whether or not there should be a change made in that camp, in the spirit of Brian Norman Jr. being the best that he can be. And it looks like Brian Norman Jr., I don't know if he was listening to us or just listening to the space, but it's been put out today that he's made that decision to remove Senior as a head trainer. What do you guys think about that move, man? From the outside looking in, of course.
Got it. I got it. Okay. I thought it was interesting, very interesting. I didn't think it would happen. I thought they were like very well bonded, but I can understand why it happened. This has happened in boxing a long time. A lot of father-son combos don't work out. They just, because a father tries to live through his mistakes and through his style, his time in the ring, especially when they're former boxers, vicariously through their sons. They try to make sure that their son's doing the things that they would have done, or the things that they made mistakes in. His son got to a championship. His son was a champion. His son took the wrong approach. He kept telling everybody how his son was going to do something totally different than what he was in the ring doing. And I think I said this when I said he was going to lose the fight. I said, this guy's trying to turn his son into a boxer. His son's not a boxer. His son is not the guy that, he can box, he can do this, he got good footwork. I think his son got tired of that, tried to change him. It's not enough time to be doing all these changes, to be not working on different things that are new, but changing your whole style. That was the problem in that fight, and that gave the situation over to Devin. Devin came in there doing what he had to do. He knew he could punch. He knew he was this. He knew he was that. All he did was work on what he needed to work on, which was the fine tuning. He didn't change anything. right? He went into a fight, learned how to keep that hand up. He learned to keep that hand up. Yeah, he dropped it a few times. It's bad habits, right? They die hard. But when he got in the ring with this guy, he was able to land a punch. I even talking about, and I was talking to Frequent earlier, I said, even when he said that he didn't get his nose broken, I said, rightfully so. You know what I mean? Your nose don't really have a bone, it's cartilage, but he moved that cartilage. It was definitely dislocated. So that's a fracture no matter how you look at it. And it definitely was out of place. So him saying that didn't happen, crazy, diabolical. The guy looked like he didn't know what to say. Like his excuse was a lot of different things. And I'm like, you're putting it seems like you're really kind of like trying to own it, but you don't want to own it, even in this interview. But he was putting it more to his dad, especially by saying he moved away from him. Even when Najee tried to press him for, your dad told you to go out and do this. He goes, no. He tried to take the pressure off his dad. But we all seen what happened. And I think that's the reason for the move, man.
Yeah, no, we talked about this at length after the Brian Norman Devin Haney fight, right? Mm-hmm. We said, hey, maybe this is a good point for everyone to reevaluate themselves, and more importantly, for Brian Norman Jr., who's only 24 years old, to reevaluate himself. Because at the end of the day, he's the one getting hit in the face. He's the one that's risking his life, right? Mm-hmm. And it's going to have to be a mirror face-to-face moment for himself. And I'm glad Brian Norman Jr. did that, because nothing against his dad. That's his father. His father's been by his side the whole bit, got him up to become a world champion, right? But sometimes you as a man, and if you want to continue to move into space, you have to make your own decisions. And I think that's all that's happened. There's not a lot of drama here. We saw the drama unfold in front of our eyes during Haney versus Norman. The drama's over. This is just a 24-year-old young man making a college-like decision. Hey, I'm leaving college now, and I'd like to move on to my career path. And I think Brian Norman Jr., who Clay, I'm very high on the kid. I like him. He's modest. He's humble. He hits hard. He's got a ton of talent. He's got real power, right? I hope that you find, whether it's Abel Sanchez or someone that can really inspire you to take your talents and abilities to the next level. Because I think Brian Norman Jr., when we're talking about players, not only at 147, but at 154, this is a 24-year-old young man. This guy is a player, all right? He just had to have his Ja Morant moment. That's all.
That's it. I agree with you 100% on both you guys and what you guys are saying, man. There was definitely some criticism there. But listen, at the end of the day, man, it's about finding somebody who you can buy into the process. And we've seen this happen time and time again. Not all the time do we see the son able to, kind of jump in front of it the way Brian Norman Jr. has done it. And this is him showing once again, this is a celebration of Brian Norman Sr. raising his son the right way, right? At the end of the day, you obviously raise somebody strong enough and focused enough and mature enough to make this type of a decision, right? So in many ways, Senior should be proud of his son carrying it like this. It is what it is. If you want to be the best, if you want to be a champion again, if you want to be undisputed, if you want to go into the Hall of Fame, if you want to be recognized by your peers as one of the best fighters out of your generation, then the hard decisions sometimes have to be made. And it seems like that's what's happened. I don't know who the new trainer might be that he goes in there. Like I said before, Brian Norman Sr. is still part of the team. He's still part of the camp. He's not fired. They're not at odds, right? They're not at odds with each other and not speaking to each other. Senior's still part of the team, but Junior does seem to be shopping for a head trainer. If he's already found it, he hasn't communicated. There's a good chance that's happened. He spoke about being active. Him and Top Rank, he says, are in communication, and they're looking to make something happen at the end of March, beginning of April. He's looking to be active again. He's looking to get back into the race of becoming a champion. He says any of the champions out there, he doesn't care who it is. He just wants to get a belt back again. And of course, he's super eager to get his rematch with Devin Haney at some point. Says he wants to get his lick back, thinks he could have done way better than what he did. And I'm in agreement. Does that turn into a win? I don't know. But could you have performed better? 100%. I think you definitely could perform better and tighten up on some defense and keeping your head off that line and working off cutting that ring off, and you were smothering a lot of your work, figuring that out, to maintain a safe distance, work in the mid-range, but not toasting up to where you're getting tied up or where you're tying up, even if it's by accident, whatever the reasoning is. All those things need to be worked on. So yeah, we'll see what Brian Norman does, but just touching base on that, because that's really light. We got a little time on the clock, but not that much. So let's jump into the 140-pound weight class division, guys. Listen, gentlemen, it's happened. Dalton Smith is shaking up the space. It's official. He's done it. He's tore up he beat down Subriel Matias, the boogeyman of the division. He's now the boogeyman of the division. He showed us IQ. He showed us punching power. He showed us punching resistance. He showed us grit. He showed us explosive energy. He showed so many things and checked so many different boxes. And now, of course, with a fight like that, it impacts a division like 140 in a crazy way. 2 weeks, we're going to see Shakur Stevenson and Teofimo Lopez figure out their differences. This one will be for the WBO championship. Lineal Ring Magazine championship will be on the line. Whoever wins that fight will be the head NIC of the 140-pound weight class division. But there's an argument there to say that Dalton Smith has got smoke for anybody at 140 pounds. A lot of people are clamoring right now, rumoring, and there's rumbling in the streets that they want to see Dalton Smith show up to that fight and maybe step into the ring and challenge whoever the winner is of that fight. You know what they say, strike while the kettle is hot. What do you guys think about that take right there?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm all about Dalton Smith because if I may need to remind the panel, I'm the one that said Dalton Smith was going to destroy Matias the whole way. Never wavered on it, right? This kid is only 28 years old. He's built like an ox. He's 5'10", damn near 5'11", at 140 pounds. He's strong. He can box. And the scary part is he hasn't even hit his 20th fight yet. He's still growing and learning. So, yes, I hope, Eddie, you let him be ringside for the January 31st fight. Honestly, he's probably already back in the UK, though, celebrating, because it is such a big deal to the UK fan base to have their 5th world champion be crowned, right? They're very excited about it. So he's probably doing a lot of celebration there. And got to just throw this out. Also on January 31st is Adam Azim versus Lemos, who Keyshawn Davis fought, on the British Broadcasting Channel, or as they say, the BBC, right? And that's free TV. That's free TV for everyone in the UK side of the world. So Adam Azim, should he win that fight, the fight that's really brewing, and it's been brewing kind of like Shakur versus Haney was brewing in America for a while. This is the fight that a lot of people will not only pay for, will want to see, but it's in the, and again, this is a Chris Ben, Connor Ben, Chris Eubank type event over there. Adam Azim versus Dalton Smith. So since Dalton Smith has to do a voluntary defense anyways, that would be the easy money, not easy money, but that would be the money defense. Other than that, though, Dalton Smith, man, we rock with you. I've been rocking with you. I think I will argue to say that if Shakur Stevenson beats T.O., like I think he will, and he decides to leave 140, Dalton Smith's the best 140-pound fighter.
With that being said, I'm just going to do a Lee Corso and say, not so fast, my friend, because this is what I'm going to tell you, right? This is the crazy part. Let's put it in perspective. I also said that he was going to beat the brakes off of Matias. I believe Clay said he would win the fight. So we were all on the same schedule of saying that it was his time. We said that the day they made that fight, when he climbed in that ring, that Matias.
Well, I mean, just to go on record correctly, I leaned towards Subriel Matias because
When I thought during the fight you was like, yeah, they're setting this
up.
No,
I did. I did make a good argument for him to win. I mean, I put money on him and won money. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But at the end of the day, I got to be honest and say that when it was all said and done, I did start to lean towards Subriel. And once again, one of those emotional, I was talking about that with Ness today, that emotional standpoints. I did the same thing with Brian Norman and Devin Haney, and I did it again with this fight, right? And I said, are we doing Are we doing the right thing by choosing Ryan Garcia to beat Mario Barrios? Is this an emotional thing, or are we being honest to say that Mario Barrios is a more well-rounded fighter? If he truly is a more well-rounded fighter, if he's a more disciplined fighter, if he brings all these elements to it and all Ryan brings is a left hook, then doesn't that make Ryan Garcia a one-trick pony? And is it emotional for us to just make him the favorite over somebody who has multiple ways that he could potentially win this fight? All he has to do is get away from that left hook, keep that right hand up. So, but I'm gonna send it back to you, Ray. Ray on that
no problem. Okay, thank you for the correction. I appreciate that. But let's really be clear on this though, right? Dalton Smith is now made a name for himself, and I think he was the guy that boxing was looking for in that division, right? He's the next Josh Taylor to me. He's that guy that can clear up the division, but he's also the money fight. He's the one that all these fighters need to have, because this fight's going to be in England. We know Eddie Hearn's going to put all his bag behind him. I don't think Eddie even cares if he loses. I think Eddie just knows he's got a great a fighter in front of him, and it takes a Shakur to make a great dance partner for him. It takes a Tiafimo to make a great dance partner. It may take a Hitchens to unify with him. These are all the things that we can look forward to in the going future. A lot of these guys are saying they're leaving the division, so this is just going to be another way of him cleaning up the division. What I don't want to see is him in the ring with a Regis Prograde. As far as Azim goes, I think Azim is still a prospect. I mean, why am I putting him in the ring, right? I'd rather put Vargas in the ring with him. I think he'll get destroyed too, but at the same time, I think we got to give this guy his flowers. This guy came to box. He came to win. He showed his presence. He gave the world the upset that they didn't expect, except for the people that really expected him to win. And he's shown that British boxing is making a comeback. They have a strong comeback, and they got a few champions and a few boxers out there that are really making some noise. And he's one of them. He's a great acquisition to the division, and he's going to be proven. And I just can't wait for him to fight the guys that we need to see him fight.
Hey, let me do a quick counter on who the hell is Adam Azim on Ray.
I know who he is.
Let me explain something to you, Ray Davis.
Since
you love Tito Mercado so much,
he don't deserve to fight either.
He is light years above rankings on Tito Mercado. If you don't understand that Adam Azim, at 24 years old, with a great amateur background, currently has 14 wins, 11 knockouts, but more importantly, in the sanctioning body rankings, he's already ranked in Ring Magazine. Ring Magazine has him ranked at number 8. The IBF has him ranked at number 4. The WBO has him ranked at number 8. The WBC has him ranked at number 7. This guy is already in the top 10, and most importantly, he is in the top 10 of the Ring Magazine rankings. Of course, he should be the next fight for Dalton Smith, because it makes money. And if you're a prize fighter and you got to do a voluntary fight, then you take the guy that's in your top 10 that no one's going to say you duck, because we spent an hour talking about duckaroos, right? He's not.
What does he bring to the table, though? Besides, hold on. Before you say, listen, you know what he brings? He brings Turkey Al Sheikh, and he brings, because of the culture, he brings England because they know who he is over there. What we're missing here, okay, we're missing that he's not a big name globally yet. And until he becomes a big name, no, it does matter. You're talking about him bringing money.
It doesn't matter. You're totally missing the boat.
I'm not missing it. You're the only one. You're the only one with this English version of the zone that gets to watch all these guys and hear what they're saying.
We can clock the hours. I have paid attention to the Adam Azim, Dalton Smith drama more than anyone. And I'm telling you that this has been brewing for too many years for it not to happen. And secondly, the BBC is a free network. The British Broadcast Channel. The British Broadcast Channel. The British Broadcast Channel is a free network to the UK public. Adam Azim, if he knocks out Lemos, if he does Lemos dirtier than the way he did Scobie, who you picked, right? If Adam Azim does it, I thought you did. Yeah, you picked Scobie.
I did.
You did.
Thank you for that face. I did pick him.
Okay,
Clay picked him too.
I didn't pick him. No, I didn't. I didn't pick him.
No, Clay was with me.
I didn't pick him.
All right, my bad.
He was with me.
My bad.
So like I said, there's been a growing narrative that it's been Adam Azim that's been scared of Dalton Smith. Well, he's about to fight in free network on the UK, which makes him even more popular. After and coming off the back end of beating Kurt Scobie in Riyadh, this is the next fight to make, right? Okay. Now, if that doesn't get made, what I'm trying to say is Dalton Smith, I can argue, if Shakur doesn't stay at 140, he's the best 140 pounder. So we already know Richardson Hitchens don't want him. We already know. Hitchens already said, oh, F Dalton Smith. Why, bro? You're the IBF champ.
Unified, baby. Unified, die trying. Hold on now. Let me put my 2 cents into this situation. Guys, these arguments are great arguments, man. Adam Azim is a legitimate an opponent for Dalton Smith, without a doubt. On the UK scene, that fight is hot as fish grease. People want to see that fight happen, but there are questions as to whether or not Adam Azim is not ready yet, right? Does he want to, have a couple more fights? Maybe Adam Azim would like to challenge for a belt outside of that and make that fight an even bigger fight for unification. So we don't know what Adam Azim team wants to get done. Even Eddie Hearn is expressed and said, personally, I think it might be too early for the young bloke. But if he really wants to make it happen, we'll make it happen. It's all good, right? But listen, man, you got to strike when the kettle is hot. And right now, the hottest thing cooking at 140 pounds is Teofimo Lopez and Shakur Stevenson. And outside of that, the next hot thing to go after is probably Richardson Hitchens, who's looking like he's kind of nerve-wracked a little bit about fighting the best fighters in the game. Now, I don't know if Hitchens stays in the division or if he just goes up to 147, but if he stays in the division, this is the fight that he wants to make. Outside of Gary Antoine Russell, who I'd have to agree with Hitchens' team, they would say that Gary Antoine just doesn't have the following and doesn't bring the money to the table like anybody else. There's no excuses here. Dalton Smith has made himself the next big UK star. This fight is huge. It's for unification. No rehydration clause, Hitchens. This fight checks the boxes, but it also checks your temperature, doesn't it? Because because this fight right here is not a fight that you just take just to be taking it. You better be who you say you are, and this fight proves that you're that, because if you beat Dalton Smith, you kill a couple of birds with one stone. You kill the birds that are talking about you were scared of Sabril Matias if you beat the guy who beat the guy, and then you become the only unified champion in the division, and now you got leverage to make the big fights, whether it's with Tio, whether it's with Shakur or whoever, because you become the number one guy in the division pretty much just off the strength of being the only unified champion there. Yeah, Tio or Shakur, whoever wins, will have that Ring Magazine lineal, but at least you'll be sitting there decorated and able to make some big fights. So we got to see what Richardson Hitchens does and how he approaches the situation. Do you got the cojones? Do you have the testicular fortitude to step up to the plate on the back end of you winning against Oscar Duarte, if that does go through, because that's nothing light to look at as well. You better get through that guy. But on the back end of that, do you take it and make it happen against Dalton Smith? Or do you go up to 154 and fight Brian Norman Jr., which is a good fight as well. But we're all going to look at you kind of weird because there's a lot of food on the plate at 147, at 140 pounds. You know what I mean? That's where I'm at with it. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, no,
and kind of forces the conversation a lot better right now.
And that was the perfect word right there. What Dalton Smith just did is he forces the conversation. He's like, why are you guys so scared? I was a nobody, right? Well, I destroyed the guy that you guys were all saying was somebody. I destroyed the guy that beat Puello. And Puello beat Antoine, right? Like there's a whole thing going on in here. So let me give you some advice, Hitchens, because I don't know where you're getting your advice from, all right? Let me give you some advice. Either hold on to the IBF, because no matter what, if you do hold on to the IBF, you're going to have to fight your mandatory, which is Lindolfo Delgado anyways. So do something, okay? If you're not going to make money and fight any one of these guys, including Gary Antoine, who you so eloquently said isn't popular enough, doesn't matter, bro. We don't care. We care about who you're fighting. Who are you fighting, Hitchens? Next, because you've been doing a lot of talking since that one win and leaving Eddie Hearn, but we haven't seen a lot of contracts. or a lot of wording about exactly who your next opponent is. So at this point, I might be looking forward to you fighting Rayo Valenzuela on Zuffa Boxing if you don't do something about your IBF belt.
What? Zuffa Boxing? Ray Davis. Say it ain't so. Richardson Hitchens at this point, if he's not willing, hey, man, listen, man, he might make a little bit of a point here, bro. Reyes might be onto something here, man. If you're really scared, if you can't make these big fights happen and you got to be nitpicking and trying to make it happen, well, is Zuffa the answer for Hitchens? I mean, at this point, where are you at with Richardson Hitchens when it comes to this topic? He's called out Devin Haney. He's called out Teofimo Lopez. He's called out Brian Norman Jr. He's called out Jermaine Ortiz. He said he'll whoop Keyshawn Davis's ass. You know what, though? None of those fights have been able to come to fruition. And at this point, if he doesn't make the Oscar Duarte fight, and oh yeah, Frank Martin was there too as well, right? Where you at with Richardson Hitchens at this point?
Shout out to a video I watched. Literally came. I went looking for certain things in the media, and one of them came up that Richard Hitchens has been exposed. He has been really dialed back into himself. Even in his recent interview today, you see him pull back a lot of things that he said, where he's saying guys are taking personal shots at me. You know, we're supposed to talk to crap to each other. It's expected, blah, 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 blah. But you went over the top. You came in there pushing, trying to be the bully. You're the new kid that moved in. You did an interview explaining that, you know, you thought it was your time. You felt that you were in the same class with these guys. You thought that you deserved the same thing as them. You wanted to be a star. So you're forcing yourself to be a star. You're trying to climb into the arena and think that you can box with the guys that are at the top of the game. Dude, let me tell you, it's such a shame because we have the elite fighters, the super elite fighters, and then we have some fighters that are great, good, and beyond. You fall into the category of good. You haven't showed us that you were great yet. You haven't shown us that you were elite yet. Everybody wants to compare the Kambosos fight. Kambosos was a busted fighter at that point, man. It was, even if he did give you a good fight, you know, it's still, we all know you would have won. Even me picking Kambosos, I just did it out of spite. I'm not gonna lie to you because I can't stand you. I ain't gonna lie to you, and I have to be respectful when I say that because I like you as a boxer. But dude, your attitude, the way you carry yourself, the forces that you try, like you just want to be in the room, bro. Listen, be humble a little bit. Get in the room easy. Be nice. You know what I mean? Play fair. I'm not telling you to do the Tank Davis fanboy thing where they say, and I hate to bring that up, oh, you got to be nice, Tank. You got to be. No, man, just come in there and just be cool. If the fight happens, it happens. All that extra you talking, bro, is crazy. Diabolical, man. I can't, bro. I can't.
Oh, no. Sam from Jersey with the $5, man, says, I love this channel. This is my favorite boxing channel. Thank you, Ray Davis and Angelo Reyes. Angelo, he meant to say, he said Angel. Angelo Reyes for co-hosting. Thank you, Claymore Rain. Man, we appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm in Jersey too, bro. I'm in Jersey too, so you know what I mean?
Yeah.
No doubt.
And then that's really what we try to do, guys, is we try to be a very just a conversational debate show for everybody, right? Because you know, like everything's got to come from a factual check or intelligence, or nobody's yelling at somebody because someone loves someone more than the other person. So I'm glad you like the show.
No doubt. We appreciate it. All right. So listen, we're down to the last couple of minutes here, and I wanted to bring up a topic here, man. Oh God, man. I don't know, man. I'm being patient. You guys know I like Turkey Al-Sheikh. I like what he brings to the game. People hate me for liking Turkey. People hate me for liking Dana. They hate me for it. But I just like what he's done to the game. Bro. He's a fan with money, man. It's just like you always dream. Like I always said to myself, if I had money, what would you know what I mean? What will we do? But we never have the money, right? It's always the big time executives who have the money. They don't even care about the sport. They're moving it, trying to make money. But it's refreshing to see somebody who's a fan of the sport the way we are, and he's using his money to literally get his fights. I mean, what would you do if you were sitting on a couple of billion? What kind of fights would we put together, right? God forbid. We wouldn't be moving so business-wise. We'd be like, fuck that, yo. I'm ready to see it happen. Hey, yo, Devin, I'm sending you a bag. Boots. Let's make it happen. I don't care. I'm looking for the most craziest fights, right, to make happen. I don't want no rehydration clauses, none of that. Come on, let's get it in. Let's shoot it out. But listen, man, Diego Pacheco, Hamza Shiraz, WBO, they're going to a purse bid.
Yep.
Look, man.
Couldn't even negotiate it, bro.
Rumor in the streets is circulating. Is Turkey Al-Sheikh backing away from boxing just a little bit? Not completely, right?
Yeah,
but should he be involved in this? Should he be involved with this fight happening? Should this even be going to first bid? Should Turkey Al-Sheikh have been taking control of this situation and be the one putting this fight happening on his next Riyadh card? What are we talking about?
Well, no. What's funny about it going to first bid is, as you guys know, Hamza Shiraz is promoted by Frank Warren in Queensberry Promotions, right? And Diego Pacheco is promoted by Eddie Hearn at Matchroom. So this would be the perfect Matchroom versus Queensberry. The fact that neither party who does work with Turkey Al-Sheikh did not negotiate this sounds like it's going to purse bid because maybe they're waiting to see how much Turkey is willing to put in. And remember, the way the rules work is once a purse bid goes in, so let's say the purse bid is $1 million, right? Yeah. $1 million. And in this scenario, because it's vacant, it's 50-50. So whoever wins the purse bid, like I could bid on it right now, and I could put $100 in if I want to see if Hamza Shiraz and Diego Pacheco would like to fight.
You never know, bro. Right? You never know. Right? Angelo, put that dollar up. You might get it. Man.
Right. I bring up the purse bid because the reason why I bring up the purse bid, ladies and gentlemen, is because that's what happened to the Dalton Smith, Subriel Matias. We all thought it was going to end up in the zone or Eddie was going to do something with it. No, it ended up going to purse bid. The person who promoted it, unfortunately, again, promoted it very poorly. I'm not talking about the fight itself or the outcome or how fun that was. I'm just talking about the promotion was terrible. Not a lot of people watched it. There wasn't a lot of tickets bought. In this scenario, if Turkey Al-Sheikh makes a purse bid, that's the salary cap. So we might be coming into the salary cap era of Turkey now, where he's kind of like, all right, you guys want that belt? Let's see if you guys can negotiate it. Oh, you can't negotiate it? Well, I guess we're going to purse bid. And if I'm betting money on who wins purse bids, I'm betting Turkey wins the purse bids if he puts money in.
Hey, that's a great way of looking at this, right? This might be, I could throw money at my problems, but listen, man, I can also tap into the free market and let's see, I'll beat the top bid and save myself money because I could just throw 10 million at it and lock it up. Or if the top bid is 3.5 million, I can throw you 5 real quick, close it out. And you know, why not save some money? Just because I got money don't means I need to throw it away. I like it, man. Shout out to Mick Doonan in the building with the two euros. Says Shiraz is fighting Mbili though. Really? I don't know. I mean, I know that was rumoring happened, but I mean, listen, that's on the table for sure. That's definitely on the table for that WBC title. But
man,
I don't know. That depends on how Shiraz looks at it. Does he look at it as easier to fight than Billy, or more significant, or more prestigious, or more money behind it, or does he look at it as an easier path to go after Diego Pacheco? It is what it is. But Ray, is Turkey falling back from boxing?
I don't think so. I don't think so. Listen, I like what Angelo said, and I think once we get to that purse bid and once we win it, guess who's in the lurking? What? Do we see Dana White playing the high card here and pulling this fight over to Zuffa for a championship fight? Do we see that happening? Maybe there's a twist and a turn. Maybe this happens to be a fight that everybody's been looking for on that network.
I don't think so.
Fans, but we don't know. We don't know. This is just something that's out in the air, right? Turkey wants to promote Zuffa. Why not put the money up where the right time is? Why not wait till this goes to first bid? Why not take this and put stars on there? Listen, man, it is what it is. Now, here's another thing that I like to mention. With all that being said, we have to understand that both these guys are probably looking to make the biggest and best fights, and they have to have the right people on the card to make this fight happen. It has to be significant, I think, to the fan base. I think it is. I think the fans will love to see this. I think you have two of the tallest fighters in the division hand in hand, and I think it makes it for a great fight. Being that Diego Pacheco has left what's the name? And
Jose Benavidez Sr.
Thank you, Benavidez Sr. And doesn't seem to be like the fighter that he thought he was. He gets another shot at it with his new trainer, and he may look better. We don't know that, or better yet, Hamza Raz may look worse. You know what I mean? We don't know what's going to happen. Now we might get a really good fight because competition raises the bar, and they may raise each other's bar, and we may get an excellent fight for an excellent belt. And then at the end of the day, we'll see why I went to first bid, and I think it stays at the zone.
Yeah, no, and let me just say this too. Oh, go ahead, Clay. Sorry. No, I was just going to add to that I wanted to co-sign with Ray Davis. It's possible, Ray, that theory that you're talking about, because Dana and Nick Khan has publicly said that throughout 2026, you will see certain events that will have the headline, kind of like Canelo Crawford, headlined by the fighters that you know of in the boxing space. Yeah, but the undercards would all be Zuffa.
They'll be fighting distinction body belts.
No. So it's just like Canelo. Imagine how Canelo Crawford was done, and Zuffa's the one that promoted it, right? So the way I'll say it is, if Turki Al-Sheikh is doing my theory, which is he's doing the salary cap now, he wins the purse bid. He's in control, and the only thing the fighters can do at that point is either take the fight or don't take the fight, which they probably will take the fight because it's the most money they can make. Having said that, since Turki's in control, Turki's the person that gets to go, who's going to run my show for me? Is it going to be Eddie? Is it going to be Frank?
Right. So he'd be a promoter. It wouldn't be a Zuffa. It wouldn't be a Zuffa.
Well, no. Here's how it would work, though. Now I'm trying to explain how Turki does this. So he's going to say to himself, depending on the location is where I'm going to pick who the promoter will be. If it's in America, I'm going to pick Dana to promote it the same way I asked him to promote Canelo Crawford. If it's in the UK, then I'll ask Eddie and Frank to work together. So, but that's where I can see, I'm co-signing with what Ray Davis is saying, that you could see a CBS event between Diego Pacheco, Mexican-American, who you know is going to move a needle in a CBS telecast, tall, 6'4", versus Hamza Shiraz from the UK, right? Two young fighters fighting for the 168 championship. They'll do a whole Canelo storyline because Zuffa did all that Canelo, Canelo promos, right? They'll do it, and the undercards of that will all be the Zuffa boxing fighters. So that's what I think Ray was trying to say, and I'll co-sign with that. It's possible. Turki can choose either way. It's possible.
I ain't gonna lie, man. I don't see it that way. I don't think that's what's gonna happen. I do like the previous one that you talked about, just as far as Turki bidding on this when it's all said and done at the end, saving himself some money and putting this fight together after he's let the bid go on. And plus, there's a part of me that also wonders if Turki wants the fighters as well as the promoters to kind of like almost give him an opportunity to get the stage to see if you guys can let's see if you guys are going to back up the talk. In other words, if the idea is that I'm not needed and I'm not putting the biggest fights together and that I'm in the way and that these fights would happen without me and that I'm over here doing something that's not so special, well, let's give the promoters in the space an opportunity to put the biggest fights on, like Oscar has an opportunity right now, right, to do something special. And let's see what you choose to do when given the ball. And I think, right now, it's like Turki 100 in the boxing space, like 3, right? Or I don't know what it is. If putting together great fights, but at the end of the day, he's definitely, from my point of view, just seeing it and observing it, saying, okay, I think he is backing up a little bit. What's the reasoning? We can all speculate. Ramadan's coming up next month. There'll be a reset happening. No business will be happening in Saudi Arabia. If you're a devout Muslim, you'll be fasting during the day, you know what I'm saying, and eating when the sun goes down and doing all those things, and we'll be getting right around that time. And that's usually, business gets suspended a little bit with Turki Al-Sheikh when it comes to that point, right? So he might be allowing a lot of things to kind of unveil. Even Hamza Shiraz should be participating in Ramadan as well, as I think he is Muslim as well. So there's a lot of space for speculation, but I do think it's interesting. The space is buzzing about it. Rumors are going around that there's money running out of this fund or money being pulled out of this. But remember, guys, last year Turki said that couldn't be furthest from the truth. He plans on doing a lot of great things in 2026. He's going to be rolling out a lot of things, and I'm looking forward to hear from him and show us. He's already kind of had a little fib, right, that he kind of got involved with the free pay-per-views. So I hope this ain't one of them as well. But I do think it's interesting. I do think it's interesting to see him take that position, to see exactly how he approaches this situation, because without a doubt, this fight does seem like it's a turkey fight. It should be. It's Hamza Shiraz's business. It's a championship fight. It's the best fighting the best. It just seems to check all the boxes. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know if Turkey's interested in it or not. Shout out to McDoonan, who brings up Christian and Billy, who's still a legitimate option for Hamza Shiraz. Both of those fights are opportunities for him. He can take either one of those fights. We'll see what he does at. If he would go to and Billy route, I mean, okay, I guess, right? Maybe he feels like that's a fight. Maybe him and Andy Lee feel like that's the best fight for them to take, and that's stylistically the fight that they can win the easiest. Maybe the Diego Pacheco height and arm reach, kind of takes away their weapons a little bit. Maybe they'd rather go in there with a shorter, aggressive, one-dimensional Christian and Billy, who may have a questionable gas tank if you test him in the right way. I don't know. He's coming off a great performance against Lester Martinez. It is what it is, man. But guys, man, it's about that time, man. This show was a great show. We were in and out like a robbery. You know what I'm saying? We talked about a lot of stuff on here, but we talked about the biggest stories in the boxing space right now. There's a lot of things to talk about still. There's a heavyweight division that I definitely want to talk about a little bit more. I want to get deeper into that division and kind of breaking down everybody's position, especially with news rolling out now that Moses Atama won't be fighting Jermaine Franklin due to an injury that'll be pushed out to the end of March. So what does that do for the space on the back end of Ajit Cabello having a great homecoming in Germany? Lawrence Okoli wants to smoke. What's gonna happen in the heavyweight division and on the American heavyweight boxing?
Zuffa Boxing's doing heavyweight.
I mean, they're 14th. Doing that. F.A. Jogba, right? Announces a fight Martin, as well. Yeah. With Charles Martin, and of course, Ryan Garcia and Mario Barrios. That announcement. I mean, talking on that situation. There's so many different things to talk about, but so little time. It feels like at times.
Just quick reminder for everyone that this week Nikita Tszyu versus Michael Zarafa is on Friday. The Coriel Rocha card is also on Friday. That's on DAZN. And then on Saturday, there's probably the fight people really pay attention to is Daniel Pero, the young heavyweight Cuban. He's fighting at Philly. Actually, I don't know if you can go to that fight, Clay. It's in Philly. So Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. That's going to be a card. I forgot which arena. And then Saturday is. I'm trying to think. What was I guess no like super big cards on Saturday until we just have to wait until the following weekend for the biggest event. Morataya versus Cruz.
There you go.
Yeah, no doubt, man.
So I never really got to talk to you guys about this. I think I missed the show that night. What did you guys think about the glove gate that happened with Sabril?
Oh, man.
Did y'all see the gloves?
No, I didn't see the gloves. I heard about it, but honestly, they caught it. Listen, man, everybody's trying to get the edge when it comes to this sport, man. And Sabril Matias has put a lot of pain inside that ring. You combine that with the PD situation as far as the Ostarine and all that. You just don't know how to look at it, right? But I mean, obviously they caught it. It is what it is. I'm just not ready to sit here and speculate as to bad intentions or illegal practices, or I'm not ready to scrutinize it to that level, but I'll tell you that I'm happy they caught it. You know what I mean? They got in front of it, you know what I'm saying? And they made sure he fought the fight the right way.
They had the picture of the gloves. They had they were really broken in, and you could see like they were used. So it was diabolical that guy really tried to use used gloves, unwrapped gloves in the fight, and think that it would be allowed. I mean, I guess they do it in some fights. They allow it in some fights, but most of the fights I know of that I heard of, they always take new gloves out of the wrapper, and then they fill them, they get the comfort.
That's what I understand it to be too. Yeah.
But back up there, this guy literally had a ring. He had a ringside bag, right, and then he had 2 Everlast Elite gloves in them. Pulled them. I was like, yo, this guy's crazy. But listen, it is what it is. You know what I mean? Maybe he's been getting away with it, maybe because of the promoter and all that it went about. But it just was diabolical, man. And I was like, I just never got your take on it, but I appreciate it, man. That was crazy, though.
Yeah. He said Team Dalton did not want Matias's in black gloves due to visibility. Did not see the gloves, but I saw the glove inspection video and saw no defects in that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It is what
and
it
they
is.
were black gloves? You sure about that?
It wouldn't have mattered if he was wearing rainbow colored gloves. I done told everybody
with the pixie dust on them, and you know what I mean. It would have taken the act of God for that man to have won that night. It wasn't in the stars for him.
Wait, they were black gloves.
I didn't see. I don't know.
No. That's what it said, right?
Yeah.
But HLD said he saw, man.
Okay, HLD said he seen it. Okay.
Yeah.
It is what it is. And McDoonan says HLD's right. You know what I'm saying?
They were, they were black. Yeah. Okay.
So this all right, Clay, you were doing your close. Go ahead and
about
do your
that
close.
time, man. I'm wrapping it up, guys, man. It was a great show, man. I appreciate you guys. Hey, everybody in the building, hit the like button, man. If you haven't done so yet, do that. It's for free. Don't be a hater your whole life if you haven't done so yet. And of course, subscribe to the channel, man. We're trying to hit that 3,000 subscribers, man. We're getting closer and closer as the days go by. Let's make that happen, man. I appreciate everybody in the building, man. Boxing is in a great space, kind of. Oscar De La Hoya, do better. Virgil Ortiz, step it up. Richard Hitchinson, fight somebody, and we'll be back at it again on Thursday, man. It's the Boxing Takes, that ATP Combat Media Show. You guys know how it is, man. You know how we carry it. At this point, yeah.
Who knew I would make it this far? They hated, they never believed me. Yeah, I would never drop the ball. I know I'm making it look easy. Yeah, Mayweather with the defense. I don't care what a critic got to say. I got them picking up the pieces. That to me, you really playing with your life. I'm about to come and run it all back. I'm the new era, about to snap back. You ain't fitting for it, cause you all cap like. Hold up, I shoot my shot, wait, hold up. I'm really about to run this, go up. You know it's all net when it go up.